games host vibes.
But that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm down for it. I consent. Do you consent? Because if we,
100%.
If we're down for it, I don't think we're the only. It's our opinion that matters. I think that's the most important thing.
I think. Well, I mean, I think that he can make the final call. I just hope he makes the right one.
Yeah.
All right, we're into the draft here. As a Bard has been taken away, maybe listening to what was happening on the space. As the Azir also going to be banned, we're going to see Qiyana taken away at the same time. A pick that hasn't found a lot of success here. Over in China, it's doing very, very well. The LPLs seem to be able to make it work, but we can't.
The Scrimbucks must be absurd on this pick.
They must.
They must be absolutely off the chain because, I think it's 0-4 in playoffs so far.
Yep.
Not seeing the stage success, but clearly still respecting the potential of the pick if it does pop off. In terms of junglers that are left available, Wukong is not been banned yet, so I imagine that might well be this third ban that comes through from T1.
Unless they have a plan into it, but I don't know whether there necessarily is one.
Yeah, losing is a typical plan.
Yeah, that's normally what it is.
Orianna.
Then we don't have to play against it in the next game.
Yeah, Orianna is also open and available.
Oh, that's a good point.
So they banned the Annie, which says they don't want to play against Annie Wukong, and they're willing to trade Wukong and Orianna. In my mind, that's what it says to me. So I imagine Dplus are going to take Wukong, T1 are going to take Orianna.
And then what do they pair it with? Because the favorites alongside the Orianna have been taken away in the Jarvan and the Nocturne.
I guess maybe...
And the Trundle. We saw the, the Flash Shockwave Trundle situation.
Vi is available.
True.
I mean, Pantheon's available, but the priority's dropped a good amount.
I think it still has to be Orianna, but we'll just have to see what owner is going to be playing.
It's definitely Orianna. It's been Faker's most played in the Legend group, so no-brainer there. I feel like you don't have to pick your jungler now, because obviously if the priority's dropped off on a lot of those big ones, you could just leave it and look to secure something else, maybe in the top lane.
I wonder if this Rengar is a shout-out to the guy that's been terrorizing Korean solo queue with Rengar. I don't remember his name, but I've heard a lot about him. Yeah, that's the guy. Anyway, Pantheon is going to be locked in. That will be paired alongside it. Not necessarily like an incredibly synergistic pick. Hasn't found a lot of victories, but we know that it's still strong.
It's been 0-5 in playoffs. It's a small sample size. The pick obviously strong, just hasn't been working out super well. Now the question is, what did Dplus want to bring in here? Looking at the Kai'Sa for aiming and the Nico. Oh man.
Nico.
This is a strong team composition already from Dplus. And a lot of threat onto this Orianna immediately. And this is Kai'Sa, which is one of the best picks for aiming specifically. You think of some of his career best performances, Kai'Sa at the forefront, so...
Just don't think too hard, because there are some moments that we also want to forget.
T1 looking at potentially securing the Xayah as a response to all this dive threat.
Yep, the classic into the Kai'Sa, but not going to be the Lovers duo because that will be denied, I believe, immediately. So one of the dangers of picking it on 3 and then having an extra ban phase. Let's see what is going to be taken away here by T1, though, looking for solo laners, most likely. Maybe protecting Faker's matchup, maybe an Akali to be taken away, although Showmaker hasn't been pulling it out very much recently. We'll see what does happen.
I'm trying to think what else specifically we could see Showmaker bring out.
Tryndamere. Viego?
Probably not Tryndamere.
Silas.
I feel like you want to have an AP pick, ultimately.
Well, not Lissandra.
Yeah, I think Lissandra kind of serves as that replacement for Annie when paired with Wukong. So I feel like it makes actually a lot of sense to ban that away. We saw, obviously, KT using to great effect the Wukong Lissandra in unison.
Yeah, could be the Syndra as well, the other thing that KT used to pretty great effect.
Could be. I think Rakan, Rel, to me, would be good bans from Dplus, unless you want to throw something towards top lane. But I think Rel has kind of been pretty high tier in terms of support picks and that movement speed. I think it works really well with Pantheon. You just speed him up, he goes in, gets one stun, you get another stun, you get a knock-up. So I could see Dplus banning that out as their last ban.
See where they do decide to go. There's one final ban to come through here from T1. Do they protect that mid lane ever further, or are they going to look elsewhere? Could be a top lane ban type situation, but it will be the Akali taken away, largely just looking out for the matchup here, because we have seen Akali picked into the Orianna many, many times.
Yeah, in theory, I feel like earlier in playoffs, this is where we might have seen a Galio, but I feel like Galio has kind of fallen out of favor, especially into Orianna.
Yeah, I do feel like Galio suits the DK comp incredibly well, though, if they can actually...
It's just kind of, you have to weather the storm in the early matchups. Teams have kind of a little bit lost interest, but if you play the Galio into the Orianna, you weather the storm a bit, and then you set up a gank, it's very punishing, you know? And once someone goes in, you obviously ult on top, so we'll see if they opt to go for that. That being said, it'd be it'd be really committing to the dive specifically into the Xayah, which gives a lot of Blade Caller value, so...
Yeah. Does DK want to play Jax? What do you think?
Going for the Lulu, so not going for something like the Rel. Instead, going for a more defensive pick, gives that wild growth, gives those defensive tools, and also gives a range matchup into the Nico. So not willing to give up the bot lane 2v2, which picking like a melee support would ensure you kind of lose in terms of prio. And now you can actually kind of bully Nico out a decent amount as long as you can dodge away from the root.
This is interesting. Let's see what DK decide to go with, as that Jax is pretty obvious with the Gragas being banned away. That is Doran's favorite pick into this champion, and instead it's going to be Victor. Last second, locked in for the mid lane. One of Showmaker's less interesting mid lane picks, you could say, but the Jax is still going to be a consideration. We'll see whether it does get locked in.
I think it's a fine Jax game if you're confident that Doran's not going to pick anything too good into. I actually like the Yorick here, because a lot of the picks you would typically see into the Yorick I feel like have been taken off the cards. You know, I haven't seen Renekton do good into the Yorick early on and find momentum, and that's gone.
I think it adds to the Wombo combo as well. I feel like Ghouliewall can get a bit of value, but instead it will be the Aatrox locked in, and Aatrox can also find a lot of value in the Brawl, as now Doran is thinking about becoming a Viking. Okay, that would be interesting. Lulu, Olaf together is a lot of power.
Yeah, you can just kind of ignore a lot of the CC that Dplus have, and when they come into you, you kind of just thrive in the chaos.
Oh man, that is a cannon!
Okay.
Which T1 are we watching? All right.
Hey.
Even Sunke, I heard him. The Korean cast a little bit baffled about what's going on here. Doran not necessarily known for the cannon, but T1 are a team that are very good at playing around it, as we know. And we'll see whether this is actually going to be able to find the angle, especially like if Doran and Faker can coordinate with one another. You get a Slicing Maelstrom as well as a Shockwave. You can do devastating damage alongside Gumayusi.
This is a very sort of feast or famine composition, sort of game, I mean, sorry, because you have a lot of squishy champions on the side of T1 and a lot of potential to blow them up from the side of Dplus, but if they get ahead and you get like Zhonya's on the Orianna, Zhonya's on the Kennen, those ults will just explode you as you're diving in. The Lulu and the Xayah will be able to survive the initial burst, and you'll be able to turn the fights around. So I think momentum is going to be super important in this game, and I think because you have that Kennen into Aatrox, because you have that range matchup, if Doran plays the lane matchup well, if Guma Carrier plays the lane matchup well, I think T1 could have an edge here, but it really comes down to them performing well and setting up for success. And I think importantly, making sure they get gold in the right places, because we have seen Aiming getting a lead in both games so far.
Yeah.
Which obviously wouldn't be ideal in this one.
We'll just have to see how it does go. Some interesting drafts on both sides as we get onto the Rift here for game number 3. Man, the fan chants have been so incredibly impressive here in Lol Park today as we are on the Rift for the 3rd game. Winner of this one will get match point. That's what's going to happen as we are tied up 1-1. And DK, a lot of Wombo. T1, a lot of Wombo. I love it. I feel like there's going to be a lot of team fighting in this game, or it's just going to be an absolute stomp. It just, like you said, feast or famine. And it means that we might, like, it will need to be a tightrope walked by both teams if it's going to be close, is what it kind of feels like to me.
That's the thing, I see feast or famine, but I could also just see it being an absolute slugfest going back and forth because, you know, it could just come down to execution. But I think if one team gets ahead, it's going to be really hard to find your way back in unless the other team really makes a blunder. Item Spike is going to be pretty vital in this one.
And it is going to be the Electrocute on Shio as well, going for those short trades into the cannon. Trying not to get bullied out. We've seen this a fair bit from Aatrox's into ranged matchups.
As far as melee champs into ranged champions, Aatrox does better than most. You know, if piloted well, we've seen him played into things like Gnar. We've seen him, if you can connect on your skill shots on the sweet spots, it can actually do okay and have a good amount of threat. But it obviously is a lot about how well you play at Aatrox and how well your opponent plays the Kennen. And Kennen's obviously an annoying range champion to play into, specifically because you have that ability to stun and that movement speed boost on your E. So it is awkward for the Aatrox to find an advantage. I feel like the Kennen does have to mess up to a degree to allow you to get a good, favorable trade.
We'll see how Doran is going to play it out. I think had a few whoopsies in the first couple of games, but ultimately did well in the later stages. His tank play fantastic on the Scion in the late game, and often just is, right? This guy is known for being a team fighter. As T1 don't have too much control here in this bottom lane, but everything is pretty even. And Xayah Kai'Sa, man, dates back to 2017. As we know, this is a tale as old as time. As coming down to the bottom side is Oner, and is going to be unseen as he walks his way in. This is dangerous, as aiming, going to have to flash to get himself out of the way, as the feathers not going to be enough to take him down, but still, he is going to have to go home. No flash in hand anymore.
Yep, so aiming, able to get out of that one without dying, but it's such a heavy blow to lose that summoner, to get chunked out of lane, especially as the wave is going to crash in the tower in a second. So it's just a nice investment from Oner. It doesn't cost very much.
Wait a second, he's doing like the Pantheon last season move, you know, where you just gank, that's all you do. Very Raptor-esque, I like it a lot, but did need to make his way towards his top side anyway, and so just going to be annoying, takes a bunch of health here from Showmaker, doesn't get a flash, but is going to allow that lane to feel a whole lot better, as already Xiu is here towards the bottom side, as DK wanting to get him out of his difficult matchup. I feel like a lot of the times, lane swaps are done because the bottom lane is feeling a certain way. This is not that.
Yeah.
This is the top lane.
Yeah, not having a fun time. But yeah, I think this is, you know, if you want to have success in the Pantheon, the early pressure from level 3 onwards, so much burst potential. The CC have just been able to walk up and stun. Pantheon has, I think he's tied for highest base movement speed in the game, or at least very high up there. So you can just walk in and stun, and it is so effective. Yep. Has fallen a bit behind in terms of farm compared to Lucid, but has put pressure down on both mid and bot for his laners. You can obviously see aiming on the scoreboard is a little bit ahead in farm, but there's a big wave going to shove in.
Oh, man, Doran did not want to do that, as the Infernal Chains are going to ruin his day.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you misplay in the matchup, you can be very swiftly punished. And this is a Doran Shield Ruby Crystal Aatrox. And that's what he can do with a full combo. So it just kind of shows the threat level that this champion has if you eat those sweet spots, if you eat a full combo, and why, especially when you get some items behind him, you really have to be respectful.
Oh, Showmaker pretty far up in this lane, and does have flash, is going to use it, still does get stunned momentarily, as Oner just going to push him away, so just stealing flashes from everyone.
Yeah, just getting so much value here, and just, again, he is a little bit behind compared to Lucid, but the pressure he's achieving for his lanes in return definitely feels worth it. And Wukong just can't do this. You know, Wukong is incredibly strong.
Oh god. Xiu looking for an angle here once again, flashed for it. But now Beryl is looking for a bit of an angle, and Faker is in trouble. Lucid turns up as well, and this will be first blood being delivered to the Monkey King.
I say Wukong can't do this. That wasn't Wukong, that was Nico.
Yeah,
you know,
that was
a little bit of tricky behavior there. Great gank from
Nico
Beryl.
was dressed as Wukong.
Yes, that was why it was a little
technically
confusing.
Wukong did it twice.
But a great gank there from Beryl, and actually the first kill of the game comes down to him, and it's rewarded to Lucid. So a bit of an advantage given over to the Wukong, and you know, as I was saying, is that Wukong doesn't have as much power in those early ganks, but if you get a lead on this pick, it's just so impactful. Beryl coming down, and the thing is, you know, you come out of stealth as a Wukong.
Yeah,
you still don't know if it's Wukong. You don't expect to be rooted by a Wukong. Why would you? Just a great play there from Beryl. And Faker doesn't end up flashing, even gets stunned by the gravity field.
Yeah, wasn't actually able to get out of that. Yeah, and I believe needed to get closer to the wall, otherwise he would have just flashed into the wall or had to flash in an awkward spot, right?
Yeah,
so
I think honestly,
wasn't really an angle for it.
Probably better just to save the flash, because I think you would have just died anyway. And then you would have been really vulnerable, especially after 6 without flash. But obviously does not feel ideal. Does get stunned up by the gravity field as well and takes a bit of a hit on that trade.
Well, you can see now Xiu moving on over, does spot out Oner.
Just looks at him and forces a smite.
Yeah, that's a bit cute. But is still going to be able to get the crab. So the Pantheon feeling all right here and has actually caught up as far as the farm number is concerned. Gumiushi taking a bit of damage here, but aiming as well, looking worse for wear as Lucid finding himself on the bad end of that trade as Ona is putting the pressure down once again. Feels like that pentakill may have made him feel a little bit confident here in this matchup. I
mean, you just don't want to tango with the Pantheon as the Wukong early on.
Flash in from Doran, looking for the angle. Owner is here as Shu tries to make the world end, but it's his world that is going down. And T1 are going to even the scoreline.
Such an easy play there. Such a good setup from Doran, flashing in to commit the play. Owner's there to follow. Remember, Shu flashed on the bot side to try and find a kill on Doran and will pay for it with his life. So, an answer back in terms of kills. And Ona, just the amount of ganks he's actually pulled off. We're 7.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And how many is it? Like 4 now so far in total?
Yep. It was 2 mid, 1 bot, and 1 top.
Yeah. And this is obviously the first one getting a kill, but I feel like everyone has got at least some value so far. And that one was just an easy one to pick up. The execute damage on the Pantheon, very severe. And I feel like, you know, we've seen Pantheon struggle. We've seen earlier in the season it be extremely strong. But if you want it to work, compared to like such a strong team fighter like Wukong, this is the sort of thing you want to be doing.
Yep.
Getting all that early momentum, getting all that constant pressure.
All right, we've just got a killer instinct as aiming goes in. Level 5 for Gumiushi, so he can't use the Featherstorm. Still, Ona is going to turn up. It will be Guma going down, and Ona not going to be able to do this one by himself. And so DK finding one back themselves.
This couldn't have gone better for Dplus, because not only do you manage to catch Guma without his level 6 available, you get both his sums, and you get the ult coming in from Ona, so you just burn so much from T1. You commit their jungler to the top side of the map, and his ultimate gets burned, and your play is still successful. Guma a decent amount behind in terms of XP.
And it's also going to be some grubs going on over to DK here at the same time, so first objective will be taken from the map as Beryl gets himself over the wall, because of course it was about to get sandwiched by a Lulu and a Pantheon. And all of the grubs will be here picked up by DK. T1 in position. Shape Splitter not going to be the option here as Ona walking so quickly as Lucid will get himself out of there and Beryl will not. He is extraordinarily dead. Yeah. So Beryl for grubs.
Beryl a little bit overextended when he had to burn that initial flash and then hung around a bit too long in the offset. So T1 end up just taking him out. So a nice pickup for T1 considering how the situation started, but still favorable for Dplus. And just the fact that the Wukong's able to make the way in here, the Void Seeker connecting from aiming, so much burn by Guma. Trying to get the root with the flash there, doesn't unfortunately manage to connect it. And you can tell T1 wanted to make more of it here though. Beryl cut off by Carrier. It was a good flash.
Yeah.
But then moves in very aggressively to kind of zone them away. Carrier gets the E onto Beryl and then lands that slow. And even with the heal and the Nimbus Cloak, the movement speed from Carrier again sets up Ona just to charge in and take a Beryl. I was talking about in draft, the Rel Pantheon being really strong. You speed up the Pantheon, runs and stuns. Lulu Pantheon doing the same thing.
Yep, works just the same. And as the game goes on, there are a lot of great wild growth targets as well to use offensively in a lot of these fights, and keeping Gumiushi alive is going to be also a big task for the Lulu as well. I think that T1's composition does definitely teamfight very well, but you look over the other side, same thing can be said, and I think it all comes down to execution as we're going to have a look at Lucid versus Ona here. Both of them sitting at 2-0, but a whole bunch more damage done from Ona, who's been turning up at every single lane. But the gold is going to be an advantage of this Wukong, and as the game goes on, I believe we will see a bunch more monkey value.
I will say, the first item spike, you know, the Sundered Sky comes in for Ona, you're going to feel fantastic. But when you get like second item for Lucid, that's when he gets his Sundered Sky. That's when he really feels fantastic in those team fights. It still feels like the Pantheon is definitely one of those picks where old Pantheon, you really thought of how he fell off a cliff, but I feel like he holds up so much better now. Especially they gave him so much armor penetration just for points in his ultimate, so his damage really feels significant even later in the game. But definitely not comparable to just the Wukong's team fighting power is kind of obscene, as we have seen in many games this year.
Indeed. This pick has been very, very strong. But there is the Sundered Sky, the item that like the entire post-match thread was just talking about how broken this item is.
Oh man, it's so crazy.
It is very silly. As now Doran is in a lot of trouble. Does have Slicing Maelstrom, but there is the Cyclone to come down. Lucid will die as Doran even lives. Aiming comes in and finishes him off, but now Shiu is the one in trouble. Pop Blossom here, and it's not going to be enough to save anything. And in fact, I think Beryl is just going to die And Kerry is going to come on over and make sure that that happens. That was not the dive that DK was looking for.
Huge turnaround play for T1. The Pantheon coming in clutch there with the ult to find favor in the play. And, we just said he just picked up Sundered Sky. I don't think he really needed it to make that play work. But Doran getting massive value out of the Slicing Maelstrom to stay alive for just long enough.
And diving a cannon is always a difficult task, and we're going to have a look at this one once again.
Yeah, she was a little bit low already. The ult stunned all three.
Yeah.
And then Lucid has to commit heavily with the ult. Aiming has to ult in to find it. She was low enough that it's just easy for Ona to finish off. And then we even see Beryl goes in to try and just save his AD carry to get out, and that just means he's dead too. It's a massive play for T1. Ona getting a ton of value, and considering he was already in a great spot prior to this play, he's now 4-0 on the back of this, and yeah, he is thriving.
Yeah, and he's also the one with all the mojo. So this is definitely pretty devastating, as Beryl will be able to find the snare onto Doran. But you can see Doran actually wanting to go in there, does have his dash cannon now completed, and aiming, still looking for some more plates, and the gold lead is not exactly end of the world levels or anything like that, but it's the tempo vibes that we're really feeling stacking up for T1. That is a bit of a worry here for DK. Some of those old mistakes coming back, overextensions, trying to get more. Impatience is kind of the feeling that we're getting. We'll see whether they can pull it back just a little bit here and retake some control.
Yeah, I think they're taking that play slower, try to bait out the ult and just disengage. It could have been okay. You got a lot of tools from T1 for nothing, but they just heavy committed for the kill, and it really sort of bit them in the backside.
Did indeed.
Been a very slow game when it comes to dragons. 13 minutes in and no dragon taken yet.
It's an 8-minute-old dragon. That's it's very old.
Pretty lengthy. Not the longest we've seen, not by a long way.
Yeah, what was that? The dragon lasted like 20 minutes or something like that?
Definitely, yeah. You saw something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was like this year. It's very.
But we do see, I mentioned it. I spoke it in existence. The pings are coming through. T1 heard me.
Ah, there we go.
Said, oh yeah, dragon exists.
So it will be a 9-minute-old dragon that will be taken down here by T1 as DK looking for a bit of an angle towards this turret, but Doran says no, and a massive Pop Blossom to come through, but it's only onto the cannon, and Carrier comes on over. Beryl is going to be dead yet again. That's 0-3 for this Nico, and another kill going over to the cannon. They might be able to get aiming as well, and there it is, and in comes Ona once again. She is going to get taken down. Now Lucid's by himself, and DK are just falling apart unless it is. No, it's not. And Ona is going to pick up a double. That's a 6-0 Pantheon. I thought he was supposed to be 0-6.
I think that Pantheon loss streak's going to end looking pretty good for Ona on this one. 6-0, so much impact made. And here we see Doran going in with the Rocket Belt, finds the stun. And even though he doesn't initially have the burst to blow them up, so much damage is done. And with the wild growth as well, and the health from the Rocket Belt, he's just too tanky for them to cut through. Aiming's running away, but he just gets chased down. The flash slow from Carrier.
Yeah.
Here's it. 2 kills for this cannon. And on the bot side, Pantheon flies in and is just so strong.
Immediate shockwave as well on top of the Pantheon. He also gets the orb for the extra tankiness. And it's just beautifully played. And T1 now 9-3 is the kill score.
Okay,
that snowball that you were talking about at the beginning of the game, that is starting to roll down the hill for T1.
Ona just based as this graphic came up. He had a Phage, just picked up a Black Cleaver. He is
that's a big boy.
He is strong. He is very, I mean, Lucid does have a long sword, right?
True.
Yeah.
That's not a Black Cleaver's better than that.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So I was saying this game, if one team gets sizably ahead, is going to feel really bad. I feel like we're heading in that direction. Also, the fact that both the solo laners are kind of bulky, right? We have a lot of health in the Rocket Belt, a lot of health on the Rod of Ages. If you're not exploding Doran or Faker, you're going to feel bad, and Guma has the Featherstorm. So if this engage from Dplus doesn't work, your team comp kind of falls apart.
Well, Showmaker looking for a bit of an angle here. Gravity Field is down in a decent position as Doran going to get flashed on here. Shiu finds his way over, and there is the shutdown. It's Showmaker that actually collects the kill. T1 still in position, though. A lot of resources were used to take down the cannon. Shockwave connects onto a couple as now Beryl trying to keep himself alive. Lucid takes down the Rift Herald. They collect the Iron. T1, they're just looking to get out of there. Man disadvantage coming on in, but still Faker doing so much work on this Orianna. There's a reason why it gets denied from T1 so often. And still, DK actually making a good play against the tempo.
Yeah, I think a good job from them. Splitting apart Doran from the rest of the team. Beryl finds a nice pick. They managed to get the Herald on the back of that, and they don't go for more. I think they obviously had some tools left. They still had the Arcane Storm. They still had the Cyclone, the Killer Instinct. They could have definitely made a play happen. But I think they go, look, we're still very far behind. That Pantheon's still very scary. And we see it happen here. Doran gets split from the team, and immediately, with Chi on the flank, they commit. T1 aren't in position to respond quick enough. It's a quick kill. And like, cool, we now get the Herald. T1 aren't really in a position to do anything. And even though they get a Shockwave that does a lot, the gravity field kind of slows down Ona from really doing anything. And Dplus are like, okay, great.
Yeah.
We don't need to do any more. They were kind of fishing a little bit, but they don't over... Oh, no.
Well, Shiu is likely to die. Unfortunately, his Sundered Sky's not quite enough.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it certainly is. That is going to be first turret going over to T1 as well. And the onslaught continues here as that gold lead heading back towards that 4,000 mark that it was looking towards last time around. Lucid gets himself over the wall as Doran does try to find a bit of extra damage on
Doran
Lucid.
was aiming for him.
He was aiming for him, and
yeah.
aiming was there as well, so it was a bit confusing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Still, Showmaker has not really done all that much so far this game, but we saw in that last Herald fight, he does do a lot of damage. He's actually there, and also the gravity field, if used well, can really warp these fights.
He has farmed up a good amount, so he is going to be strong. And obviously, Victor can have a lot of impact in these team fights if he can survive. A lot of burst threat in the enemy team, and this Pantheon is threatening. Here, Shiu just sticks around too long, realizes his error a little bit too late. I think you just have to let the tower go.
Yeah.
At least you got Pantheon Flash.
True. But he didn't manage to keep his turret alive. And that is more money over to Doran as well, who is about 2,000 gold in the lead. Similar story there for Ona on this Pantheon. 7-0 now.
T1 just picking up more and more. They're going to get this bot tower as well.
And at this point, DK are just getting pulled around the map. Gumayushi might be in trouble. This time he has Featherstorm, though, and a whole bunch of friends. And T1 are going to flash towards them. There's Faker picking up the two-man Shockwave. Now Lucid's in trouble. Cyclone has to be used very defensively, but I just don't think it's defensive enough. And in goes Ona to lock down the kill. That is a legendary Pantheon. And DK circling the drain already here pre-20 minutes.
Featherstorm, Flash, Barrier, Wild Growth. None of them even used. I think that shows the confidence T1 have right now. The Wukong starts to walk towards you. Gumas is completely unfazed, starts walking towards you, and you go, oh no, we're in trouble. And Dplus, oh man.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I don't think Shiu is going to be surviving this one, as Ona does leap on top of him. Umbral Dash to get him over that wall, and
okay, he can...
Actually,
no, I think
he's going to flap his way...
Oh, the TP!
Can he actually get himself out? And yeah, the teleport will be able to get him out of there.
You know
what?
That
is a little bit of good.
You take the small victories.
Indeed.
In this situation, because there aren't many for Dplus right now.
Yeah. Didn't die, did have to use TP, and that is not so good. And the Shadow Flame just got completed there for Doran.
Yeah, so this is the play where you expect, okay, he's going to have to ult here, and he just goes, no, actually, you guys are the ones in trouble. A Shockwave connecting on a both.
Basically a three-man, because it got the flash from aiming as well.
Yeah, Beryl immediately just gets deleted. Lucid's trying to kite away, and his Pantheon's just walking at him, menacingly.
Yeah, and you can understand why. He is a very, very large Pantheon. That longsword's still there for Lucid, though. We're still waiting for that to turn into a Sundered Sky.
Oh, he has the Tunneler now, at least.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a pretty good item in this game if you just want to tunnel on the ground and hide.
Yes.
Which feels like...
He just wants to pause the game and be Rek'Sai. That would be even better. As aiming does have 2 items now completed, as the Rage Blade is finally done, but he is pretty far behind himself.
I think as well, in a game like this, you really need to be burning summoners from the critical members. So like, the fact they didn't get anything from Guma,
yeah,
there's nothing to play around. There's no, okay, well, we lost that fight, but we got the 80 carries flash. The next fight, we got, no, his flash is still up. Everything is still up, so, you know, this fight, they're starting up Arakan right now, they're calling you to contest. They have all their tools available. The only thing they don't have is a flash on Faker, so maybe Faker needs to be the target. We'll see if they can pull that off. They do throw the Herald down mid, though, as T1 move up towards Arakan, so they at least find a window to throw that down. Yep. In the mid tier 1, obviously opens up some better angles to approach from when they are looking for those flanks.
And still, it is not going to be a commitment onto the Otacon either, so that is certainly good news. Doran does upgrade some shoes though, so he's got 2 items and is feeling absolutely fantastic on this Kennen. Kennen, with a tempo advantage in a game, is so deadly.
Yeah.
And Owner is going to start off this Dragon, and I just don't think that there is going to be any contest. Hopefully it's Cloud Soul, so we finally do get our Earth, Wind, and Fire reference that I've been looking for.
I think that's a one positive for Dplus, is that the first Dragon was very late.
True.
So a potential Soul is very late in this game, and it's going to be...
There it is.
There you go.
I knew there was going to be one this game.
It's pretty high-value Cloud game. You know, the movement speed goes a long way. Yep. Kennen gets a ton of value when he pops the ultimate, even Xayah as well. But it's a long time before T1 get the Soul, even if they stack up the next 2 Dragons. So I think Dplus have more time on their hands, but I think things are going to be tricky soon because Adakan's up and available, Baron's in 2.5 minutes, and you look at the items for Doran and Faker, I imagine they're probably just both going to buy a Seeker's Arm Guard next, and as soon as they have those, good luck. You know, that Wukong engage, the Nico engage, then becomes infinitely harder when all the carries on the enemy team have some form of untargetability. The only person you can actually hit who can't make themselves untargetable is Carrier.
Yeah. And he is not a target that you want to be focusing because the rest of the team will kill you. That is kind of how that one's going to go. The one positive that I have here, guys, is for DK, is that they have more petals.
Yeah.
So
that's something. I guess Owner isn't untargetable, but you can't damage him, so it might as well be the same thing.
You don't want to target him.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be on the same screen as him. Exactly. As Aiming is now going to, speaking of which, just get flashed on. There's the Shockwave, and where did he go? He's just gone.
Yeah, I didn't see much outplay potential in that situation. You know, I'm trying to analyze, trying to figure out what the strategy was. I think you just die when that happens. So now T1 heading over towards the Adakan, and I think it's just a give up and let them have it.
I'm going to go with a foregone conclusion on that one.
9-0 now on the Pantheon. See, I thought after the previous game, I was like, okay, Owner really wants POM, you know? He really wants POM, and also I think he wants to go further in playoffs, and also I think he wants to go to Worlds. That's the vibe I'm getting from Owner right now.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't want his year to end. I think that might be something that you have hit the nail on.
That's what I'm picking up. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from his play.
Yeah, we don't want to like jump to conclusions.
I don't want to speak for him.
No, exactly.
But I feel like his play is speaking for him.
I would say
just a little bit at least.
Wanting to win is something I've picked up.
Yes,
from what he's putting down.
Yes, just a touch, a hint of wanting to win.
This has been a great understatement that you've just thrown out there multiple times.
Yes.
As Aiming does make his way back onto the Rift, but I think that he is going to be very, very scared of doing anything at all. Gumayushi just going to be stealing away a blue buff, but I don't know whether that is going to be something he's going to commit to. As Owner does turn up, but there are some DK members in the area. We're looking to move his way over. Lucid is in here, though, so it should be that their blue will go over their way, and it will be secured. There we go.
Nice. Blue buff secured. Good
there you go. There's something.
No? You got to take the good with the bad. And there was a lot of bad, so...
Yeah, yeah. As Aiming now looking to try and defend this inner turret. It is going down pretty quickly, though, as Faker possibly going to get flanked here as Shiu gets on top of him, but the chains are going to get broken, and now Shockwave connects onto this Aatrox, and he has to flash away. He thought that he was starting the fight, but no. No, that's not how it's going to work in this game.
Yeah, and Faker does have that Seeker's Arm Guard now, so...
good luck.
Not dying so much. Doran went for the Oblivion Orb, so he's just... I mean, it's a good buy. There's a lot of healing on Dplus with the double Sundered Sky. But he's fine dying once he's pressed his ultimate.
Well, Pop Blossom is going to find one here, but Owner says goodbye, Beryl. And down he will go. Now Lucid finding himself in an awkward spot as the angle from Doran is glorious. Just executes Aiming and looks to make his way out. The man drop comes in and Doran goes down, but it does not matter. It's only Shiu left alive. He's going to try and umbrally dash away. He's a very cute snowman. But this game is still looking 100% T1's.
Beautiful ult there from Doran, just decimating the backline of Dplus, but I feel like this game was looking pretty over long before that. 11-0-3 now for Owner on this Pantheon. Baron about to come through as well. T1 looking to take this one a match point.
Oh, okay. Another Shockwave to come through here as Faker was pushing out this mid wave. And the Baron still hasn't gone down yet, and they still managed to get that inner. So Owner and Gamushi going to be able to finish this one off, and there it goes. As it's all over but the crying, ladies and gentlemen.
There's just not much you can do.
Nope.
They're just so far. I mean, the thing is as well, it's another scenario where they go on a Faker. Has Flash, has Seeker's Arm Guard, does not care.
Looks like a tank. Like his health bar is just massive.
He is.
Angle.
And look, aiming just gets base. He gets one shot through
everything.
Dies. Gets the Killer Instinct shield, doesn't matter. Yes, Doran goes down. His job is done. And Faker, well, he lost a little bit of HP. That massive, see how he's like the 3 big quadrants of health? He lost one of them.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And now it's Soul Point here for T1 on top of everything else. I don't know whether we're going to see a Soul this game.
Now Doran has a Seeker's Arm Guard. Okay.
Aha.
Okay, now you're really in trouble.
Now he doesn't even trade his life for 5 people.
No.
He just kills 5 people.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem very fair. But now they're looking to catch Faker out of position. Nice 2-man Shockwave does come in, as Pop Blossom will pick him up, but the Wild Growth is there, and Owner gets on top of Amy. They're like, that's cute, but now Oriana is a tank! Shiu trying to get in there, but Carrier just walks him around like he's taking the dog for a walk, and now Lucid, he's going to try and get out of there. And the Monkey not going to be able to affect the ending of this game in a positive way for DK. I think they're going to have to look for the next one if they want to make a victory, because T1 are moving towards match point, and they're doing so in style as 13-0-4 for this Pantheon. And if there's ever a way to break a losing streak, this is a pretty good way to do it.
Honestly, this has been the best Owner performance we've had since last game.
Yeah,
he's been on a tear.
An absolute tear, yeah.
Absolute tear. Dplus getting forced back onto their fountain, trying to look for a return, weren't able to find it, and T1 will take us to match point in this series.
1 win away from Worlds, 1 win away from keeping their hopes alive to be the LCK champions.